Welcome to Fit and Bold, where we promote healthy lifestyles. I'm your host, Lakita Goins. Today, we're going to talk about an extremely serious subject. It is both difficult and necessary to shine light on childhood sexual abuse. In a perfect world, we would like to think that sexual abuse does not happen, but it does, and children are particularly vulnerable. We have Dr. Rhonda Maddox, the medical director at United Family Services, here to talk with us today about sexual abuse in children. How are you today, doctor?
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, let's start with what is considered sexual abuse.
Most people think of sexual abuse as actual intercourse, but the reality is it's not just intercourse. It could be fondling, it could be making them watch pornography, it could be making them touch the other person's genital parts, exposing them to, to those kinds of things.
Okay, so can you give us an estimate on how many children are sexually abused in the state of Arkansas?
Each year, in Arkansas, and kind of the national reports are 1 in 4 girls will have been sexually abused by the time they're 18, and 1 in 6 boys will have been sexually abused. And the reality is many times they do not disclose until much later.
Right. So are there any statistics on who sexually abuses children?
Yes, we tend to tell our kids don't talk to strangers, but the reality is 90% of the cases tend to be from family or family friends, people who have kind of finessed their way into your lives.
Right, they gain some level of trust with them.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. So a lot of people have very young children that maybe they can't talk or they're not at that articulation level yet. So how do you know when a very young child has been sexually abused?
About 20% of children under 8 will experience some sexual abuse. And that you tend to get clues. Kids, they don't know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Right.
So they may just tell you, first off, in conversation and not realize what they're saying.
So what kind of emotional impact can sexual abuse have on children, and and what kind of impact does it have on them later in life?
Right. Many times, many of the behavioral scientists think that, at the age that it happens, that sometimes people just kind of, stop at that age. And so the impact can be as it relates to their future relationships, how they perceive the person of the opposite sex. Many times it's same sex, and so people go on to develop an interest in whoever, the kinds of people that molested them. It may be that women tend to appreciate older men, or they may appreciate people of the same sex, whoever it was that kind of molested. Sometimes that can be who their object of interest is. The other thing is that they can become more promiscuous, or they can become even frigid and kind of avoid that kind of stuff all the time. Many times I will have people in my office who have fibromyalgia, migraine headaches, obesity, all of these things, and it's disproportionate to what it is that I'm expecting to see. And I, have you ever been sexually abused? And the answer, frequently, more frequently than you, can imagine, is yes. And so there are a lot of health consequences that come out of it because they protect the perpetrator.
Right.
And so because this person has established a relationship with the family, a relationship with them, have made them, to feel guilty about disclosing, or to make them to think, this is your fault. And so, all those years of covering it up really can have a lifetime of consequences, not just immediate, but long term in terms of, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, the things that we see as a result of overeating.
You're right. And some people do make them feel like it's their fault, and sometimes it's not even the person that abused them. I've seen cases where it may be a mother and her new man, and they choose the person over their child.
Absolutely.
So, but you have many other parents that they really, really, truly care. So if you're a parent and you think that your child's been sexually abused, what do you do?
So if you suspect it and you're not sure, one of the things that you can do now before you ever expect anything is, depending on the age, teach your child what their private parts are. The people who touch these parts are mommy and daddy while we're diapering. And then you have to teach your kids as you're doing that who it's okay to, because they think, okay, so don't talk to strangers, but my coach is not a stranger. And many times in our culture, we teach kids to do whatever adults say. And so, so we don't give them the liberty to say, I'm uncomfortable with this. And because that's what we put in them, when a 10-year-old is told to do X, Y, Z by an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old, that's exactly what they do. But so what I'm trying to say is you start off in prevention mode of teaching your children what's uncomfortable touch, somebody punching you, somebody hitting you in the nose. What's secret touch? If they tell you, this is our secret, we don't keep secrets. So secret touch, that's not acceptable.
And I teach my daughter, and it's important for our audience to know that you can teach children to be obedient while giving them the freedom to say no when they're uncomfortable to things. There is a way to do it effectively.
Right. I had one of the secretaries that work in my office ask me, when should I start teaching my child? Her child was 3. I said, now. Yeah. And so when she went to the doctor and the doctor wanted to do a rectal exam, she was like, no! And so they get it, but we don't want to make our children afraid, but we do want to protect them. The other piece, though, is talking to the adults that are in their lives. Many times things will happen when you think that you're dropping your child off at your mother-in-law's, but you don't realize that your mother-in-law has brothers and cousins and different people that are dropping by the house. And so, be clear, if you're dropping the children off somewhere, which I discourage against, for the record. Yeah. But if you're dropping them off, that you don't want them in one-on-one situations with adults or with kids. Protect your. You want them in group settings.
You have to.
If they are going to the bathroom, you want somebody that's paying attention and they don't get lost.
That's right. So that covers our helping to prevent it.
Right.
So I want to talk about. Do you recommend therapy? Talk about therapy and how important it is with people that have been sexually abused.
Well, as the person discloses, if they ever disclose, your response to that is very important to the healing process. If it's, well, what did you do, or how did you, or what, and then you get really animated as you're talking about it. The kid shuts down because they may not know what has happened, but they know that you don't want to hear it. And so as you're being very calm as they're talking about it, not asking lead-in questions, well, did they? Or did they? But asking, now tell me what happened next. So that's the first part. Being supportive. It took a lot of courage for you to tell me this. I'm glad you did. And then, contacting, depending on the age, Child Protective Services. If they're 18 or under, Child Protective Services. If they're still in danger because the person lives with them, you contact the state police department. Different states have different laws, but in Arkansas, there are certain mandated reporters. If you're a teacher, a daycare worker, a minister, and someone discloses that to you, you must report it. Even if they don't and you suspect it, if you're a mandated reporter, you are, by law, you must report even the suspicion of it. And so it's not your job to be a private detective. It's just your job to report. Okay. So as a parent, if you think that is happening, just kind of talking to your child, not asking a lot of loaded questions. Do you know what your private parts are? Has anyone ever made you feel uncomfortable by trying to touch your private parts? And doing this while you're doing something else. You don't say, let's sit down and have a talk. Because just like the husband knows, if you say, let's talk, you're in trouble. The kids think
you're on guard already.
Exactly. So maybe while you're watching TV or while you're, playing some game, just having this discussion to where they don't feel on guard. And making it, an every 3 to 6 month thing. My brother was just like, you're teaching the kids fear, because my nieces and nephews, before they were 2, 3, I would always be talking to them about it. And he just thought, it's too early. But my nephew, one of my nephews, when he was 6 years old, someone else tried to do that, and he knew exactly what to do. Because I would role play with them. What do you do if someone says this? And most kids will say, oh, you tell an adult. And I'll say, well, that's partially true. But the other thing is you scream, no! You run, and I tell them, you tell 3 adults, what if they tell you, not to tell anyone, that they're going to hurt your cat or they're going to hurt your mom? Tell anyway, we'll protect you. And then I tell them who the 3 adults are. You tell, your mom, your dad, your teacher, your counselor. I tell them to tell 3 people, because what if the first person they tell is, Uncle Pee Wee, who say, that didn't happen to you, you better stop, And so tell other people as well.
Well, I want to thank you, Doctor. It's such a huge topic, and there are many other questions I want to ask, but unfortunately we're out of time. But I want to thank you for talking to our audience today. I think we got a good stepping stone to understand what sexual abuse is and what to do if you consider that if you think it happened. So when we return, we're going to go to our healthy eating segment, so don't leave.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities, to ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. You see, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child.
Give. Advocate.
Volunteer. Live United. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
I'm big. I'm big. I'm big. I've done big things. Some even say I'm bigger than life. But you know what? There's nothing bigger than life. Not when someone you love is fighting to live. You want to do something big? You want to do something big? Sign up to donate marrow and save a life. Take the first step at BeTheMatch.org. See how big you can be. You could be the one to save a life.
Hi, I'm Anthony Fernando, a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm also a graduate of UAPB. I'm currently enrolled in the Master of Science in Aquaculture Fisheries program. Thanks to my mentor, Dr. Eggleton, I'm acquiring unique skills needed for future employment.
Since coming to University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, Tony has been involved in a wide range of undergraduate research. Some of this research he plans to publish later this year. UAPB prepares its students for these types of opportunities every day.
UAPB is preparing me.
Welcome back to Fit and Bold. Today we've discussed a heavy topic, and now it's time to lighten the mood up a bit, and we're going to give a healthy Fit and Bold recipe for kids, and it's called Orange Sherbet Punch. So the first thing, or your ingredient list, you're going to need some oranges, you're going to need some ginger ale, caffeine-free, and you're going to need some form of sherbet. It doesn't matter what flavor. Okay, we're going to jump right into the method. I picked oranges because they are very healthy. Oranges have lots of vitamin C. They also have things that can help reduce weight. So you want to help with the weight control, especially with kids. We want to keep them eating healthy. So you want to first just grab some oranges and peel them, and the kids can even help, so this can be some family time. You want to just peel them, and I have just a regular blender here. I'm going to go on and just throw some orange peels in here, and I'm going to do a couple more. And orange peels and oranges, they also have a lot of other vitamins and minerals such as potassium and calcium. All right, and we have some more slices I'm going to just add to the blender. Now this is a very flexible recipe because I couldn't find anything but a very large tub of sherbet, so I actually got sherbet pops. And you can actually look for ones that are lower in fat. So this is a lime flavor, just whichever flavor the kids like most. And I'm just gonna put this in here. And lastly, ginger ale. And I did go with the caffeine free. And I'm just gonna pour enough. I'm gonna put about double what the ingredients are. And now you just blend for a short while. Okay, and I just kind of watched to make sure the orange was getting smooth. But now you have an instant drink that's ready for the kids. And I left the oranges. If you don't like the fiber parts or the pulp, you can get a juicer and use larger oranges and use the juicer to juice it without getting the pulp in it. I left the pulp because it has a lot of fiber, and fiber is good for kids and adults as well. So now it's ready to serve, ready to pour, ready to drink. So when we come back, we're going to be doing some exercising and talking about how to stay safe in groups. So please stay tuned.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Hello, my name is Latrice Smith. I'm a graduating senior here at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, majoring in computer science. At this point, I thought that I would be struggling to find a job, but thanks to my mentor, Dr. Jesse Walker, and Career Services, I was able to obtain a position as a service management specialist.
Latrice worked hard obtaining 3 internships while on campus. UAPB can help prepare students like Latrice for those same opportunities.
UAPB prepared me.
Welcome back to Fit and Bold. Today we've been learning about sexual abuse. I'm here today with the UAPB women's softball team and Coach Tiffany Ansley, and it relates to sexual abuse because sometimes you have to have someone to confide in. Sometimes that's a teammate or a coach. So how are you today, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You were telling us about some rules that your team has when they travel. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yes. It's whether they travel or whether just walking around late at night, they always have to go with a partner. I prefer that they always walk 3 or 4 together, just for safety reasons. I also prefer them to carry pepper spray or mace or something like that with them at all times.
All right. It sounds good to me. So audience, get your workout gear, get your workout partner, and let's get ready to exercise. That was a wonderful workout with the UAPB women's softball team. I want to talk to you today about health tips. These health tips come from the Black and Gold Fit and Bold Committee. Did you know engaging in casual conversation can improve mental function just as much as working a puzzle every day? So find a buddy, talk to them for 10 minutes, and you will feel better and remember things better. Also, Black and Gold Fit and Bold has water aerobics, Zumba classes, as well as line dancing classes open through March 28th. So call 870-575-8000 and ask for Miss Cynthia Anderson or Miss Rita Gates to get signed up. So remember, getting healthy, it's a lifestyle journey, and the best way to do that is just hop right in. So remember, get fit and be bold.